Thank you very much. Sticking to the topic of potential increase in council tax, if you were to go up to the full 2% across the GLA, we're talking about an increase of about £1.49 a year for the average household. On top of your 8p a week, it's less than another 3p a week. It's less than the cost of a bus journey per year, 2 bus journeys with your hopper. I think there's a lot you could do with this. My findings last week showed that youth service budgets from councils have been cut by a third since 2011. We've lost 300 youth workers. Councils have also said that in the year coming up, they're planning at least £3.6 million in further cuts. So the 4.3 million you could get from that final nudge up in council tax could make a huge difference to youth services, in fact preventing next year's cuts. I'm putting an amendment, our group is later on this, so will you look at that and consider doing it?
And so I always look very carefully at suggestions from all Assembly members, and so of course I look at that. All I would say is that I'm not saying this in a critical way, but often people spend 17 times a pot of money, and so we've got to be a bit careful about, assuming that one bit of money can be spent 17 ways, because it can't. And so I look at any suggestions from all Assembly members, as I always do.
Okay, I would argue very strongly for this being a really good place to put this money. I mean, keeping Londoners safe is what you've said you will spend council tax increases on. Keeping Londoners safe is about giving young people safe places to go. And young people, when you asked them at your Knife Crime Summit round table, they said very clearly they wanted investment in youth services. I think 3p a week could make a big difference. And if you won't do that, can you at least look at the policing and MOPAC budget and consider where you might help councils with this?
Can I say, I look at all suggestions, can I say one thing that I'm keen to do is to be careful we don't spend money that is a recurring spending money, Chair, because if we do, I've got to make sure there's money for subsequent years. So if you're going to spend money because you've got a pot of money available, you've got to make sure either it's a one-off or it becomes self-funding going forward. And so happy to receive any representations. I'm told by those guys I spend too much money on things, but happy to receive suggestions on things that I could be spending monies on. But I just qualify my comments by saying you want it to be self-funding going forward, because what you don't want to do is pay for something this year and then next year have to pull the plug because it's not recurring.
But one of the problems with the previous mayor not putting up the council tax, as you've actually stated, is that this is now not in your base for this year. So in actual fact, by doing this year, you'd be making up for some of the problems that Boris had caused by not increasing the council tax. This would therefore be ongoing income if you were to do this.
Sure. Well, I look at all representations. I mean, you'll be aware of the manifesto because those guys know it by heart. But I was quite clear to keep council tax as low as possible, subject to keeping Londoners safe. And you're right, draw a money that actually prevention is far better than cure. If we can spend money early doors to give young people something constructive to do, and I know you know this, but I'll say this for the avoidance of doubt, the vast majority of young people are law-abiding, peaceful people we should be very proud of. But that's not a bad thing, but I'm mindful of the fact that actually we've got to make sure things can fund themselves in years to come.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm glad you agree that it's a good value way of spending crime prevention money, and that actually it's the general youth services for use by the young people who are not a problem that are actually suffering most. If you will look at my amendment, that would be great. I'm out of time now. Thank you.